Hello, I don't know why you are showing as a coffee cup for me and you're muted and I can hear you.
No, it could always got a coffee cup for me.
It's weird. Anybody else see her?
Hello?
No, she's coffee cup and muted for me too.
That's weird. Anyway, we can hear you.
Can you
Yeah,
hear
we can
me?
hear you fine. Ah, I didn't know you could do that as a guest. That's cool. All right, Glohan, how old are you?
Hi, I'm 24.
All right, let kids be trans.
Mel, I agree. I
Cool.
agree that kids should be, that kids can be whatever the hell they want to be.
I didn't say that.
Well, not that. I mean, as far as that goes, I do agree that
Okay, but just
kids
really
should be
quick
able
though,
to.
for the 1,100 people here, children can't be whatever they want to be.
Yeah, of course. I mean, okay,
They
they can't
are who they
specifically
are.
be they are who they are, is what I mean.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
And before I go more into this topic, I did want to address someone on the panel. Um, not to like make it dramatic or anything. Um, but I did want to address Adora, if that person is there, about some of the stuff that they said and how like things
Right.
went down on their live as well. But
Well,
I mean,
go
if that
talk to
person's there.
her. Go message her about it. Like, this is my life. Like,
Okay,
what?
cool. So I'm gonna keep on to this because it's like it also falls into play what I was like speaking about earlier on a different live. Um, I agree that kids can identify. Kids should be able to like be who they are. I feel like there should be no stopping that. I feel like I don't have any kids per se, so I can't really speak of it from that perspective. But I am a part of like the community as well, and I do believe
Well,
that. I do believe that. As far as it goes, like what the last guest was saying, or maybe the guest like before her, I do believe that there should be a certain age and time for specific information, and I believe you went over that before because you said that you were gonna like as far as like teaching it in the classroom settings, you just go by their comprehension and like how they're able to retain information.
uh-huh.
So they're not like straight up teaching like kindergartners about like smacks or stuff like that. It's just like it's a comprehension level,
Mm-hmm.
and I get that. Um, but I also agree with the other guests when they spoke on as far as like a gender reassignment surgeries. I do personally believe that um, well, I don't know if they do it in America like any time before the age of 18. Um,
17.
17.
17. If a child graduates from high school and is still 17, sometimes bottom surgery can be done before they start college. That's about
Oh
it.
yeah,
That's
so I mean,
And
I
that's
guess it kind of
super
falls
rare.
along the line of that
super
as well.
rare.
I believe that that should be like after like the age of 18. I guess 17, 18, you're already like technically around the same age anyways. But
Do you understand why though? Like there's reasons why they make those very, very rare
I mean,
exceptions.
I understand is why they wait for the certain age to do the assignment surgery. Is that the question?
No, like you did you just say did you just say you don't agree with those like
No, that's
being
not what I said.
early? Oh, I'm sorry. I
No, I mean,
misunderstood then.
I said I don't agree with it being earlier than that, like 15, 16, or 17.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, okay. If that doesn't happen, then that's cool because I still believe that, like after the age of like 17, 18,
Right, but
you're
it typically has to do with the child's growth and development. Like
yeah.
you just,
That's what I would assume would be the case. Is the reason why that a surgery
what
could be.
exactly are you against here?
Well, I was just like saying I was personally against that, but then you guys kind of like
Cool.
taught me that. But then I was also wanted to ask you a question as well. And I'm not trying to make this like a race thing as well, but I am going to bring up race, just letting you know. Um, I see a lot of lies when people are pushing, of course you're going to push this agenda as well, not agenda, but you're going to push this idea as well because you personally have a link to the community. But I've seen a bunch of lives like this with people speaking on, like we should incorporate that within the schools. We should teach more trans history. We should teach more
Okay.
like history like that. And like I said, it's no problem with that. But as a person of color,
Mm-hmm.
who's as a person of color, also from a marginalized group, um, there are times where I can say that I feel as if like I would still support that as well. But I personally, like, how would I go about like pushing the narrative, like pushing that agenda when we barely even have the proper
So you
African
do
American
know
history?
that you do know that there are people within the LGBTQ community that are also people of color.
Yeah, I understand that. I completely understand that.
Right, so we're not advocating for let's have LGBTQ education and like not teach about race. Nobody
No, I
said
know
that.
that. I know that you're not specifically doing that, but my question was, as a person who was from the marginalized group of a person of color who was within the diaspora of the LGBTQ as well, um, when we're saying let's push the trans history and let's do this, like it's very like difficult for us to like support the cause as well because of the fact that like our race's history is not even being taught or is barely being taught at all in schools today.
Yeah, those things aren't comparable. I wouldn't advocate against teaching about
No, I'm not going to say being against it, but I'm saying that you can see how it'd be more, like, not be more difficult, but you'll still ask and still stand for it. I'll still say I stand for it, but I'm going to feel more just and more cause about something that is directly linked towards me. And that
Glohan,
being African American history. And I feel like that's not being taught as much. But you guys are preaching, like saying that you should teach more about trans history, starting from K through
right,
12.
so you could go
But
host
we,
a live and like talk about how you want more, people of
yeah. So I
color.
mean, that was my thing. So I wanted like to get your input
wait,
on that.
but
Like,
I'm so
well,
confused.
we recognize, like, I just want to say, like, I mean, speaking for myself, and and as much as I know these women here, like, we try as hard as we can to speak up for intersectionality. Like, that's a really, really important part of our advocacy. And just because we're necessary, just because like this topic is about trans people and we get into the topics of like LGBTQ, like that's also including the Black community because of
Yeah.
intersectionality. Like, we're not going to stick up for one, like, in all these conversations, we do try as hard as we can. Sometimes we fail, sometimes we have to correct ourselves,
Hmm.
especially being white, most of us here white people. But it is an important part of our advocacy. I just want to make that very clear. And like, we do accept like constructive criticism from the community, of course, like, when we're talking about those topics and intersectionality as it comes up.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not, just because we're advocating for this topic, like you said, like, Mel has personal ties to this. There's trans people in this topic. There, like, I am a cis person sticking up for the trans topic in side by side with other trans people. Um, but that doesn't mean that we don't advocate for other marginalized communities.
but yeah, and I completely get that and I understand that. But it has been proven to me consistently when I join up on these panels, the amount of flack and amount of hate that I get in the comments when I even speak on the Black experience or speak about anything that has anything to do with race. Because don't get me wrong, I know that this is not the complete platform for it. I mean, this is not your platform. It's not your thing isn't about race at the moment. I completely understand that and I get that. But then I try to divvy it down to a certain point where at the end of the day, race does matter. Race does matter. So this is why I'm going to bring this up because I'm speaking from a different perspective. Speaking from my point of view. But when I speak, but 9 times out of 10, when I join these platforms, especially about these trans positive platforms, and I speak on race, I get so much like hate in the comments, like I'm getting right now, with people adding me saying that, hey, this is not about your issues. This is not a Black issue. This is not
Okay,
a
so I can't do
issue.
anything about
And I complete no, I'm not. I don't want you to
comments. So
believe.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, and I get that, and I don't. I'm not saying that like okay listen, I'm not joining up here to like make this specifically like or argue you down. No, I'm not saying this is the case.
Well, I'm
I'm
just
just
confused
saying
at like what you are trying to say. Like, are you
but
saying you don't
Yeah,
talk enough
it's,
about
it's like I'm trying to
intersectionality,
say it, but
or
then it's like every time I try to say it, it's like you consistently cut me off, and it's like I can't speak on.
you've been
And
saying a lot of? Okay, go ahead, keep
we're
yeah,
going.
just
see,
looking
this
for
consistently happens,
clarification.
or you, it's either you don't cut me off, or you give me like this exasperated, like, okay, like whatever,
We're
and I
just
mean, and I completely get that because I guess I'm not talking
I'm
about.
trying to follow without like losing track because I do have a hard time trying to like follow a conversation when there's no dialogue. It's just one person. So I'm trying to say like, okay, where are you going? Like, where are you
Okay,
going with
the
this? Like,
base
what's
of it
going on?
all is this is where I wanted to get. I wanted to get at the fact that my question to you is I was like, how could I go about being more supportive to the trans community if my own community is not receiving that same support within the diaspora, not even only diaspora of the trans, of like the, or the rainbow, but just in general. Like how am I able to how am I able to
So are you
support?
trying to, it sounds like you're trying to like blame the
I'm not.
LGBTQ community somehow. Like,
No,
again,
I'm
you
not.
have to recognize there's intersectionality and that there
See,
are
I'm
people of
not
color
getting that, and I get that. Like, I'm getting a bunch of acts in the comments about intersectionality, sectionality. But I was like, I was going to get there, but
Can I
it's like
You're
try?
basically saying like you can't. Yeah, go ahead,
I'm
Reggie.
not saying I can't. But can I just completely finish my thought
Of course.
before, please? Okay, so what I was trying to say was that I'm not saying that. Okay, let me get back to what I was going to say. So pretty much what I was saying was that how can I go about being more supportive for the community, another marginalized group, when my marginalized group is also not even getting that much attention or that much support and respect when it has been around longer, it has been integrated within society longer, and we are not even personally taught African American history from K through 12. But you are pushing the agenda, or people are pushing the agenda that trans lives or trans should be taught from K all the way up to 12 when I'm not getting
Hold on.
when we're not getting that. And also, also the reason why yeah, so to go to that was like saying that, yeah, from like K through 12, you want to like slowly but surely integrate the trans identity, which is like completely okay, which is completely fine. Like I said, I'm positive with that. I'm pro that, because there are some people, even within my groups, of people who are also like fall into that category. I get it. It's a human thing. So that is something that should be taught like slowly, comprehensively, up until the, whatever in the school systems. I get that. But my bone to pick is saying that okay, in the school system, I also
Glohan,
feel like there should
You're
be.
saying a lot again.
I know. Yeah, respectfully, you're
Yeah.
going on to a different topic. Like, can we answer
No, I'm
that
just
first
saying that there
question?
should be the same amount of like K through 12 curriculum learning of the trends. It should be the same K through 12 curriculum of
Yeah.
slowly learning towards about the Black history. This is
100%.
what I personally believe.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah,
Yes.
all of us here advocate for that. But I want
Yeah,
to,
sorry to
like,
ramble,
I
but
don't,
I'm trying to get my thoughts out. Like, and that's how I get my thoughts out by like talking.
Okay.
okay. So, I don't think that it's an appropriate place for, particularly for white women, to be answering the question that you're asking. And I could be wrong about this, but like, because I don't know that either.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know.
like my best way to go about that is what like is doing what I'm trying to do is educate and teach, for advocate for intersectionality. But like I don't know, like it's not fair. Like I'm on your side. Like I think that we need better education, period, and we need to be incorporating all of American history because American history is Black history. So like if you have a suggestion as to something like back to the comments thing, like yeah, I
Look,
look for those
that's
comments.
yeah. So as you can see the comments now,
It
like I feel
yeah.
like I personally do these things as well. Like I kind of also put myself in these spaces, which I'm not personally saying that I like pick this live out because I knew like you guys aren't going to be able to relate to it because I clearly I know that. But shit. Sorry, I just
Glohan,
saw a
you're
comment.
preaching to the
I just
choir because it's the same thing with indigenous rights
Edith, you're
here.
hilarious.
We don't get indigenous
No, and I
teachings
get
here.
that. And I completely get that, but it's like when I do this thing, it's also like I do this just so I can like pick your brain and also understand like to see like where you guys are with that as well. Because I have ran into a lot of I have run in sorry, Edith is killing me. I have ran into a lot of people who are not like who are also trans and also still like completely anti-black. And so I like to put myself in these spaces and I ask these questions in these spaces because I also can still see the amount of bigotry in the comment section from the same people who are preaching that we should be teaching like trans lives and being saying going out and supporting trans lives. But once I mention anything about race, everybody gets funky.
Oh
And
yeah,
I get
it
so
happens to me
many
all the
ads and
time.
I get so many people that are upset. And this goes back into the play where how when I was on Adora's live and the co-host and I joined up and the co-host was literally equating the trans woman's plight to the African Americans black woman's plight during like the era of like segregation, and I thought that was completely ridiculous. And this is the reason why I wanted to join up as well, because I joined up to like call this person out on the panel, Adora as well, because when I was like having my conversation about it, it was like everything was fine when we were talking about trans. Even when I joined the conversation, we were still talking about trans and everything was fine. But then when I heard her make that equation or that try to make it like that comparison of the trans woman's plight in America with making synonymous with the black woman's plight in America, it infuriated me. And I got super upset, actively so. And it pissed me the heck off.
Can
And
I
then
ask you a
once I
question,
started,
Glohan?
one second.
I need
But
to
once
slow you
one
down.
second. I want to make sure I
I
stay on
gotta
topic.
slow you down.
But then once I
I
started
gotta
speaking
slow you
on it,
down because
once I
guess
started
what?
speaking
Reggie
on it,
wasn't
I got
there.
cut off
I
like I'm
wasn't
doing
there.
now.
Mel
I
wasn't
got cut
there.
off like I'm
You
doing now.
don't
And
know
once I
what you're
started
talking
speaking on
about.
it, but I'm
You weren't
telling you,
there,
so just
friend.
let me continue. So what I'm
You're
saying is when I was having
monologuing.
this conversation,
It's really hard to have a conversation though, Glohan, because you're not pausing. And I would like to have dialogue, right?
okay.
I would like to have dialogue, not
I'm
just
sorry. I
you.
was just recanting. I was just recanting like how this goes back into play
Yes, I can hear you.
with that on my when
So
I
I think
joined up on the
I
doors
was
line.
the co-host. Wasn't I the co-host?
No, you weren't the co-host. It wasn't you.
Okay.
It was someone else. I don't know her name, but it wasn't Mel. I watch you often. It wasn't you. It was like some other person, and yeah, she equated like the trans lives with the African American woman's plight, and I thought that was really weird. And I gave her a second. I was like, "Are you serious?" And then she said,
Were
"Yes."
you, did you come up and start initially talking about discrimination in sports?
No,
Okay, then it was a different thing, guys. I don't know.
no, but I did get onto that topic later when that was brought up, like the plight, when like the comparison between the African American women. But anywho, all I was saying was that I joined up on the panel. Um, Doris co-host did that, and I called them out on that and called them out on the bigotry of it all. And as soon as I started speaking of that and I started speaking more so on the race, I got so much hate from the trans people in the comments, or some of the trans people in the comments. Some even messaged me after that and was just like, "You're making this about a race. This is not a race thing." And I even got some negative comments that were also like, I'm not going to bring up because it's whatever. But I like pretty much it just all boils down to the fact that I like putting myself into these spaces. I know that you guys may not relate much to this. I know it may sound like I'm ranting, but you guys have to see the hypocrisy in some of your guests and some of your supporters when it comes to just like supporting people in general. Like I want to support your cause, but how can I support your cause when I join your panel, when I talk about these things, and when I slightly mention anything about race, I get so much flack and so much hate from the comments, and they say, this is not the live for that. This is not the space for that. You shouldn't talk about that here. But we can talk so much and so clearly about like trans lives, but once it boils down to like the trans, like, or like once I bring in there about like black people, then it's a crazy thing. Because like if you guys want to be factual, like black trans people, black trans women and men are 60% times more higher like likely to get assaulted in public by people
Yeah, we
versus
talk about
other
that a
people
lot.
completely in general. So my thing is I like to speak
We
on that.
talk
And of
about that a
course
lot.
I'm black, I'm biracial, and I like to be like pro-black. And with my blackness, so even if I join spaces, I'm going to bring that up because that's a part of my identity and that's a part of me. And I just want to say that I support your lives, Mel. I'm not trying to make this whole big dramatic thing. I really do support. I'm not trying to monologue as much either. I'm literally about to drop now. I support what you're
Well, can
doing.
we
It's really cool.
respond?
It's really
Hold on,
positive.
please. Hold on. Can we respond, please? There's one thing I don't really have a lot to say because I wasn't part of this. I haven't been part of these conversations in a long
Yeah.
time. But I want to say something important. Like, there's people that are upset that this is going on, and I just want to say I think this is an important conversation, and we are all trying to educate ourselves on how to have these conversations better. So I know this is a little bit of a rough conversation, but I appreciate you trying to have it, and we're also trying to do our best to understand. I just want to put that out
Mhm.
there.
Okay, and I respect that as well. And so, yeah, Two Spirit, Reggie, and Mel, thank you guys for your time. Sorry to monologue and like go off topic about a bunch of other things, but I really do support what you guys are doing. I really do. I just want to bring that to you guys' attention as well, because some of the same supporters that you have in your comments are also very anti-black as well. Just putting that out there, and they may not be your followers, but some may be, because I have seen a few people who are still subbed and are literally still making fun of saying that, oh, this is not like a black thing, whatever, like you're wasting time. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say. And also, I wanted to just before I drop, I wanted to say, Adora, you are a piece of crap. You are anti-black.
Okay, I'm not